The plurality of the human mind is one of the most important things for my patients to understand. Usually we think of ourselves as having one brain. My neuroscience professor explained to me that it'd be more accurate to say we have something like 9 brains. And they don't actually communicate with each other as cohesively as we might imagine. The 2 parts of the brain that are usually in the most opposition to each other is the part of our brain that's responsible for logical thinking and the part of our brain that feels emotions. And these aren't necessarily specific brain parts, but they are systems in the brain. Now you recognize that the human brain is the most complex entity in the known universe, and it has trillions of connections. It is so incredibly advanced, we are hardly even scraping the surface when it comes to trying to decode it. Part of your brain can know that something is not real or not true, but another part of your brain can not believe that. For example, a person can logically know that the movie is fake, but an emotional circuit of the brain can react as if the movie is real. For this reason, you have to be very careful what you expose yourself to, because some part of you that's responsible for your anxiety network may start to function as if there really are aliens or demons out there that are trying to kill you, making it impossible for you to calm down or sleep. And logically, you may have no idea why you are so incredibly anxious and can't relax. And this doesn't just work with anxiety, it works with depression as well. Strangely though, with depression it's usually in the reverse. People decided that logically they are a loser and no one likes them and their life is terrible. And there's nothing that I can say that will counteract that for their logical brain that has made this decision. In these instances, I actually appeal to the emotional network. When someone is convinced of something, they have entered into a selection bias. They believe something, and so now their brain is very sensitive to picking up every single piece of evidence that supports a belief that they have. So they're actually totally convinced that they're garbage and they don't deserve to live or to be happy. I will have zero success in fighting against that. But the emotional part of their brain can still be reached despite what they logically believe and what they have evidence for. One of the ways that I do this is I have the patient say extremely over-the-top positive things about themselves and about the world around them. And they don't just say it with their words, but I have them say it with their entire body. Have them smile really big and then say, "I am amazing, I am incredible, I can do anything, I love myself." And although logically they don't believe any of these things, the emotional part of their brain will react as if it is true. And guess what? The emotional part of their brain is the part that's creating the depression. And so as they do this, they actually feel better. But this doesn't just apply to depression, anxiety, it also applies to things that we believe about the universe around us, our religious beliefs. There are times where a person will logically think, well, this is probably not real, it's not true, there probably is not a God. Yet emotionally, they need religion in order for them to be optimally happy. And so they live their life as if there is a God, when perhaps from a logical or scientific perspective, they don't believe in one, or they think that it's unlikely. Now, some people would say, if I logically think it's unlikely that there's a God, I can't participate in religion, or I'm incapable of getting any of the benefits that people in religion get. And there are noted benefits to being religious. If you surround yourself with other people that are religious, even if you logically think it's unlikely for there to be a God, a portion of your brain will become subject to bias, and it can allow you to actually emotionally feel that there is a God, even if some logical part of your brain thinks it's unlikely. This can also happen by reading the reports of other people, lots of case studies for something. But it goes even further than this. Even the logic centers of our brain are so complicated that a person can actually have 2 different logical beliefs on the same subject. They can entertain and have 2 opposing viewpoints and consider both of them valid at the same time, without choosing between them. This state is very difficult for people to reconcile, and in order for many people to function, they have to choose one and go with it. A great deal of the anxiety and challenges that people face is the complexity of their own brains trying to decide how they're going to live and what they believe. People stuck in unhappy marriages, people stuck in jobs they don't enjoy, people stuck in certain patterns of living that are not giving them the kind of happiness that they want. These people are often balancing many factors and beliefs and different ways of viewing things with different parts of their brain, making the decision overwhelming and producing anxiety as a byproduct. But when you understand that your brain is very complex and which parts of your brain you're appeasing and which parts of your brain you're denying, and then recognizing that these different parts of your brain can be in opposition to one another, you can attend to your emotional, psychological needs. For example, someone who really gets a lot of emotional benefit from going to church, but logically doesn't think it's likely that there's a God. They could go to church and say, I go to church because some part of my brain needs this and it makes me happy. Or saying something nice to yourself, even though part of you doesn't believe it's true, because confidence helps you to perform better and to feel better. This is especially helpful in relationships. Sometimes we feel things that we know are not reasonable. For example, jealousy. Let's say that our significant other goes out and hangs out with some other friends, and we feel jealous. We don't want to feel jealous. We know that it's completely reasonable for the person to go and have other friends. Regardless, we feel jealous. So when we talk to our partner, we can explain, there's a part of me that feels really jealous. I really don't want to feel jealous. I'm trying very hard not to feel jealous, but do you think that you could reassure this part of my brain that's feeling jealous and tell me that I'm important to you? In this case, you're recognizing what a part of your brain needs and then asking for it. Sometimes a part of your brain needs ice cream. Sometimes it also doesn't. Balancing all these different parts of our brain can be really difficult. And if you notice that one part of your brain seems to be consistently causing you to make bad decisions, you can even talk to that part of your brain, have a conversation with it, try to reason with it, or make a deal with it. Say, look, I'll give you some ice cream, but we're only going to have this much. And before we do that, we're going to exercise first, okay? Deal? Now, I know this might sound like you're having a conversation with Gollum, but it doesn't mean that you have lost your mind if you talk to the different parts of it.